Friends, we are happy to receive the Ambassador of the Republic of Cuba, Mr. 𝒂𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐𝒔.
No, mister.
And I believe that this is an occasion where an interaction between the ambassador and our members will be very fruitful. Let's proceed as request. Mr. Dila.
Thank you, sir. His Excellency the Honorable Mr. 𝒂𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐𝒔 is forgiving me for my wrong pronunciation. Honorable Ambassador of the Republic of Cuba, other friends, and respected Professor Basu, sir, who is chairman of this session, honorable members of the Aipso West Bengal State Committee, friends and comrades. I, on behalf of the Aipso State Committee, heartily welcome the Honorable Ambassador, sir, and the entire team of the Cuban friends. Thank you, sir, for joining us despite your busy schedule. We feel inspired and encouraged by your gesture of friendship and solidarity. The Aipso is affiliated to the World Peace Council since its inception. It is the largest peace organization in the country involving all progressive, democratic and secular forces. And in this tenuous Bengal, this comes a joint platform, like a joint platform of all the major mass organizations in the state. The trade unions, peasant organizations, students' youth organizations, teachers' organizations, from all sectors, from all walks of life, to the broadest possible platform. The Aipso West Bengal State Committee, our members, supporters, and the people of West Bengal stand in solidarity with the people of Cuba and the socialist government of Cuba. We firmly condemn the United States' imperialistic interference and subversive actions in the internal matters of Cuba, aimed at destabilizing socialist Cuba and impose a regime change. The Aipso West Bengal demands immediate lifting of the US blockade and sanctions against Cuba. We also demand immediate withdrawal of the US military prison in Guantanamo Bay. USA has no right to continue to occupy the Cuban land. The Aipso salutes the Cuban government especially for their achievements in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic situation, which is praised even by the World Health Organization. While the US acted as a pilot and tried to divert all medical supplies to it, Cuba, on the other hand, took it as a mission to respond positively to all the requests for medical assistance to cure the people anywhere in the world. This shows the strength of the alternative model of health system of socialist Cuba. Honorable Ambassador, sir, the state of West Bengal has a long and illustrious tradition of anti-imperialist people's movement. The people of the state have always extended their solidarity with the people in distress in any corner of the globe, be it Vietnam, be it Nicaragua, be it South Africa under the apartheid regime, be it Venezuela, be it Chile, be it Myanmar, be it Cuba. India has always a special feeling of friendship and solidarity with the Cuban people despite vast geographical distance between the two countries. India was amongst the first countries to extend recognition to Cuba after the 1959 revolution, and Kolkata is the city where Commandant Che Guevara had visited as early as in July 1959, just after the revolution. Kolkata is also the first place in India where Comrade Fidel Castro visited. It was a historic stopover at the Kolkata airport on 17 September 1973 while returning from Vietnam. He was then welcomed and greeted at the airport by the people of Bengal in large number. Also under the leadership of Comrade Ramesh Chandra Pillai, the Aipso played a pivotal role in organizing Cuba's related programs across India during the early years of revolutionary Cuba. At the beginning of the 1990s, Cuba entered its special period in the backdrop of the debacle of socialism in the former Soviet Union and in the East European nations. In early 1992, a broad-based national committee for solidarity with Cuba was formed in India by involving a wider popular section. In West Bengal, a state-level Cuba Solidarity Committee was formed in April 1992 with the then West Bengal Chief Minister Comrade 𝒂𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐𝒔 as its chairman. The Cuba solidarity was observed in that state from 9th to 15th August 1992. We made a wide campaign with the support of the common people. TV here even donated their blood, which was sold to buy wood and rice for Cuba. A Cuban ship named Caribbean Princess left Kolkata port in October 1992 after collecting rice, wheat and medicines. The peace activists in Kolkata and Bengal take part regularly in all regional and global conferences and conclaves, including World Meeting of Friendship and Solidarity with Cuba, organized in Havana in late 1990s. Some of such leading activists are also attending today's sessions. From the Rohingya and others also. Professor Prudential Dollar is a renowned singer and musician. We can still remember the presence of Comrade Rosa at the program we organized to support the release, to demand the release of the 5 Cuban heroes who then are jailed in US prison with fake and fraudulent charges. We can still remember the presence of Comrade Rosa Aurora Frejanes, again I am apologizing, wife of Comrade Fernando Gonzalez, one of the 5 heroes in our solidarity program in Kolkata in September 2008. You will be happy to know that, I'm sure you know that the first Asia-Pacific Regional Conference of Solidarity with Cuba was held in the city of Kolkata in September 1995, which was inaugurated by the then Chief Minister Comrade 𝒂𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒕. In fact, Comrade 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕 was an inspiring friend of Socialist Cuba and Comrade 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕. We have been participating in each and every such Asia-Pacific Regional Conference of Solidarity with Cuba since its beginning in 1995. The Aipso 𝑺𝒉𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒄𝒄 has been observing Moncada Day, registering our solidarity with revolutionary team of Cuba on the 26th July every year since 2008. We did not miss it even during the period of COVID pandemic. This year also we will be observing the day across the state. We will not only stress on the purpose of the solidarity movement, the main objective of the solidarity movement, what you understand, it is understood by the Aipso. We will not only stress upon how Cuba is defending our socialism, but also highlight Cuba's exemplary achievements in including its virtue. That is also very important part of the solidarity. These few words, I conclude my intervention. Long live Socialist Cuba, long live India-Cuba friendship.
Thank you, Professor Bera, for your comments. Now I request
flower bouquet. Flower bouquet. এই পুষ্পস্তবক দিতে বলো ইংরেজি হলে হ্যাঁ পুষ্পস্তবক
now flower bouquet will be offered to our guest, Mr. Marina.
Marina na Mari.
I request the one.
Thank you.
পুষ্পস্তবক দিলেন বিপ্লব মজুমদার। এবার পুষ্পস্তবক দিচ্ছেন কমরেড অনাদি সাহু।
Collaboration Board will present the memento to the His Excellency Ambassador.
আচ্ছা যে মেমেন্টোটা হচ্ছে এটা কল্যাণদার দিচ্ছে কল্যাণদার এই কিংবা শপথ করেছে
গার্ড হয়ে গেছে ফুলগুলো গার্ড হয়ে গেছে
এই দুটো মেমেন্টোটাকে একটু উন্নত করে রাখো
সবাইকে নিয়ে থ্যাংক ইউ
Listen to you. Maybe no one day. Fernando was here.
আচ্ছা আমরা ওনাকে তিনটে বই দিচ্ছি একটা হচ্ছে রবীন্দ্রনাথের চিত্রলিপি আঁকা ছবি একটা হচ্ছে গীতাঞ্জলি একেবারে অরিজিনাল কপি কাছে মিলে আর একটা হচ্ছে দ্য রিলিজিয়ন অফ ম্যান
থ্যাংক ইউ সে কাজে লেগে গেল
string indigenous. Friends were rich in a hurry, so we go straight to our ambassador's speech. I request Mr. Mohan to deliver. Thank you.
So my dear comrades, my dear friends, first of all I should apologize for being late. I tried to find the place by myself, but it was difficult. It's my first time in Kolkata. But the most important is that I am here because for me, this is a very stimulating moment. I am delighted to be here. You are the real friends of Cuba, and you are the people, all of you, and many of the members of the All India Peace and Solidarity Organization who are not here. We are the people who we admire and respect for the long history of a struggle for the progressive and justice in India and in the world, and of course for the solidarity with Cuba. So, honestly, I am delighted to be here. So once again, thank you for the warm welcome. I arrived 7 months ago to India, and this is my first visit to Kolkata. Actually, the main objective of the visit is to promote, to stimulate the commercial and the economic relationship between India and Cuba. There is an organization that is organizing a business forum Cuba-India that will take place tonight, and we are having different contacts with companies. Okay? But anyway, it was forgivable for me to come to Kolkata in order to pay a visit to you, to our real friends, to our real companies. So maybe a short visit, but imply all our gratitude, all our solidarity, all our support, all the friendship between Cuba and India, and particularly between Cuba and the All India Peace and Solidarity Organization. So once again, thank you very much. Being in Kolkata also, Kolkata has a special meaning for the bilateral relationship between Cuba and India. You very well expressed the history of different moments. Che Guevara came to Kolkata July 10, 1959. Later in 1973, Fidel Castro, the historical leader of our revolution, also visited Kolkata. So coming here is not only a pleasure, it is not only a honor, it's a great commitment, a high responsibility for us, not only to preserve the relationship of solidarity and friendship, but to reinforce that relationship. In Delhi, we have been in a permanent contact with the Aipso, with the different members of Aipso. About 3 months ago, we organized an activity at the embassy with the leadership of Aipso, and we gave to Aipso a commemorative medal of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the People. The medal of the 50th anniversary of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the People, we gave to Aipso. So we have a very close relationship, but being here together with you is represents a special moment for us. So maybe we can have an exchange, and we'll be able to answer any question, to have an exchange with you. Unfortunately, I don't have too much time. But the most important, again, I would like to reaffirm the solidarity, the friendship, the cooperation between Cuba and India, and particularly with Aipso. I would like to reaffirm the decision of the Cuban government and the Cuban people to maintain and to reinforce our political, social, and economic system based in socialism, to keep together in struggling against imperialism, of course, against all the injustice in the world, together with the people, together with the people from the poorest countries and the poorest areas in the world, together against the injustice, and of course, to be also together fighting for the unity of the progressive and left forces in the world. The unity is something very important for us that we consider we should maintain in Cuba, in Latin America and the Caribbean, but also in the world, the unity of the progressive and the left forces. So we are ready to continue working, not only working, because for us this is not a war, fighting together with you for all this, and to reaffirm our decision in the socialists, in a better society of social justice in Cuba, for all the Cubans, absolutely for all the Cubans, without any discrimination, and of course based on socialism. So I think this is the most important I would like to transmit. And of course we will be far from here in Delhi, but we will be absolutely open to the relationship with Aipso. You are our comrades, you are our brothers, you are our real friends, the ones who Che Guevara said, if we are capable of feeling any injustice in any part of the world, then we are more than relatives, we are comrades, so we are comrades with you. And in that way, we will be always in Delhi and in Havana and in Cuba together with you, and we will be open to receive you, to continue working together. I would like again to express our gratitude for all the solidarity you have expressed to Cuba in the history, in many different moments where you mentioned very well, but particularly in the fight in order to lift the United States blockade, which today we are still suffering, and which today is still the main obstacle for the social and economic development of Cuba. Once again, thank you for that. For us, the solidarity makes us stronger, and we count on Aipso solidarity in order to lift the blockade and to face all the hegemonic and imperialist policy coming from the United States regarding Cuba. So, you know, the Cubans, we tend to speak too much and long, so I don't want to be so long, but I would prefer to have an exchange with you. If you agree, I will be open to have an exchange.
So, everybody can ask questions or discuss any point.
Mr. Manin would like to answer questions if you have any. I will request you to pose questions to him.
Sir, I have a question. Regarding the healthcare delivery system, how do you arrange your healthcare delivery system? Is there even a single private hospital? This is the question I want to know about the healthcare delivery system.
Well, in Cuba, the national health system is completely public, social, state, whatever you want to call it, public, social, or state, but it's completely free. And it's a universal system for all Cubans. There are not private hospitals in Cuba. The health care system is one of the main principles of the Cuban Revolution. And it's a right that we have conquered 60 years ago. And the only thing that we need to do is, of course, continue improving always better and better. But it's a right for all the Cubans. And when I say a right for an aspirin to maybe the most complicated brain or cancer operation, so it's completely free. And of course, it's one of the most important principles of our society, so nothing is going to change about that.
Yes, comrade. This is Tamonash Bhattacharya. I just like to ask you one thing. Today's world, we are facing so many propagandas. We are getting so many propagandas which actually try to describe that there is some kind of debacle in Cuba, but particularly after the turmoil in Venezuela and other Latin American states. So, how do you like to counter that propaganda? We are receiving pro-imperialist propaganda because all the social media are dominated by them. There is no alternative system, I think, which is available. So how do you like to address this? We are facing that so many people of Cuba is now ready to leave Cuba. They are trying to go and settle in USA and other imperialist states. They are getting more quote-unquote pro-capitalist, pro-consumerist attitude in their lifestyle. So, what the actual situation is and how do you like to address the situation? How, as a Cuban Republican political person, you would like to address this?
So, I will answer, but very briefly, I would like to come back to the previous questions. Just because during today and yesterday here in Kolkata, we have been having different contact with the biopharmaceutical industries. And then in Cuba, the biopharmaceutical industry is very well developed. It's a very important part of the national health system because the biopharmaceutical industry is the one responsible to provide around 60 or 70% of all the medications, everything that the national health system needs. So we have been working with some Indian companies in the sector in order to improve the trade and economic relationship in the biopharmaceutical sector. We have our own COVID vaccine. Around 95% of the population is fully vaccinated. So very briefly, just to complement with the biopharmaceutical sector about the national health system in Cuba. So the last 3 years has been economically very complicated for Cuba. There has been a group of factors that has impacted very negatively in our economy. The first one, of course, is the blockade, the United States blockade. Particularly the 243 new measures undertaken by the Trump administration. Maybe I'm not going to be extended, but I can imagine if any country, for example, in Central America, similar to Cuba, have to face such a big impact from what we call it the United States blockade. I don't know if any economy will resist. For example, the main industry in Cuba is the tourism. So Trump prohibited the cruise ship to Cuba. Now there are no cruise ships in Cuba. They know that we import a lot of oil, so they made a real persecution of all the oil companies to try to blockade, obstaculize the import of oil to Cuba. Then they persecuted the shipping companies in order to try to blockade the shipping of oil to Cuba. So it's not a sanctions, it's a real economic war. So all this has been reinforced during the last 5 years. Besides that, of course, we had to face the COVID. In 2020, at the beginning of the year, in March, we were obliged to close down the country because it was the necessary measure. So we stopped the entrance of tourists to Cuba. And it also had a very negative impact in the economy. And very opportunistically, the Trump administration, they used these difficulties in order to reinforce the blockade. They prohibit, they obstaculize the selling to Cuba of different biopharmaceutical products. They try to obstaculize the products we need to produce the COVID vaccine in Cuba, they obstaculize the import to Cuba of artificial respiratories. So it's a real economic war. So in 2020, the economy fell down 11%. Last year, we had already a recovery of 2%. And this year we expect, this year we think that will be the year of the full recovery. We hope to increase 4%. Of course, 2% last year, 4% this year is 6%. We are not going to reach the same level we used to have before the COVID. But anyway, there is a permanent growth on the economy already. Anyway, the international situation now economically is very, doesn't benefit to us. For example, the situation in Ukraine has made all the flights between Moscow and Havana to stop it. Because the Russian airlines, they cannot overfly over the European Union territory. And the Russian tourist was not the biggest, but was the fastest growing. So now it's stopped. So there is a group of factors that have negatively, of course, impact on the economy. But the main one, without any doubt, of course, is the blockade, is the United States blockade. We think that every year the Cuban economy lose due to the blockade between $4 and $5 billion. Maybe to India, $5 billion is not too much, but for Cuba, which is a small island, the Cuban population is 11 million people, so $5,000 million for us represent, of course, a big loss. And it has been created only by the blockade, So, of course, this economic situation has impacted socially and has created some social problems because it's normal. That's why in last year, particularly in July last year, some small demonstrations were in Havana, but the reality is that those demonstrations were some of the people who participated in those demonstrations were people who really have some concerns about the economic situation. But most of the people were people stimulated, coordinated, people who received money, institutions from the United States. The way it happened and the information we received shows that everything was absolutely coordinated and organized from the United States. It's the reality. But if you compare the situation we are facing in Cuba to a situation that, for example, any Latin American country is facing, what happened in Cuba was absolutely minimum. Only one person died in Cuba, and that person who died is absolutely a big loss for us. We're really sorry about the only one person who died. But for example, in Colombia, last year, more than 300 people were killed. Nothing of that happened in Cuba. So that's why you were talking about an issue which is very important, is how we can fight that through the real information channel we have. How we can show the tools, how we can educate the people in the reality. So it's a complicated issue because most of the big media are monopolized by the United States and by the Western media. And these are the ones who create the informative patterns that are inoculated in our head. We want or not, we are influenced by this big media. So in my opinion, the only way is to continue working together, the solidarity continues being so important. And particularly in Cuba, the only way is to make our socialist society more and more and more and more democratic, making the population, and particularly the young people, more participating in the political life, in the social life, in the decisions. So this is the only way, and this is what we are doing. But internationally, I think it's very important to continue working together, creating different channels and new ways of information in order to fight the big information monopoly. So maybe I extended too long.
Thank you. I've got one question.
He is asking a question. Sir, I am asking, there is a book written in the 1990s, Clash in Civilization. Yes. So when the Cold War was there, we thought that the new war system after the fall of Soviet Union, there will be no war. But I have estimated that in the post-Cold War is more war. So there is, I consider this is a civilization in crisis. It's a just opposite. So what is your, I think, and the right person to answer, that the Ukraine war is a new trap. Like I consider that this, what is called this, 𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, it's a new multinational trap. It's a simple understanding between the China and USA. Because if you see the, so far as the Ukraine issue is concerned, there is an increase in the defense budget of all the East European countries. So how do you react with this Ukraine crisis, when there is a new trap of the imperialist power? And second one is related to the Afghanistan. You withdraw, the sudden withdrawal that created the power vacuum in the region. So, and that gives space to the, what I call it, terrorist groups to operate. So it is a trap because we do not trust the Americans because it's the capitalist outlook and they wanted to grab the market, they have to sell the product. So how do we act?
I think the book is maybe you refer to Nossi.
Yeah.
The end of the story. No, there was a moment the United States thought that the story was over and from now there will be the new United States century. Yes, but the reality is that the story, nobody can stop it. And the same reason, the same situation that leads to to make it, that made the people to fight for a better world, were still there and are still here in this world. So the main reasons in order to continue fighting and struggling, in my opinion, are the war based on such a big inequalities, a war based on imperialist interests that creates only divisions, wars, instability, and big inequalities and, of course, injustices. And regarding Ukraine, our position is that we believe that the only way to find a solution, of course, is the peace, is the dialogue. But we never forgive that the real reasons that led to the situation is now the expansion of NATO to the east, to the border of Russia, created a big threat and created instability in the region, and they never took that into consideration because they are not interested. They are only interested in to expand the NATO. So we should never forgive the real reasons that led to the situation now in Ukraine. But in my opinion, the only one who is benefited from this situation is United States. Yes. Before, never the NATO was so strong, and the European Union never was so subordinated to the United States.
Please.
Sir, I am from 𝒂𝒉𝒂𝒂𝒍, Bengal newspaper. My question is very precise. As you just said that in the last 5 years the amount of US-sponsored blockade has increased. So in this juncture, I mean when the amount of blockade is being increased against Cuba manifold, what can be the nature of Indo-Cuba relationship in 21st century?
The Cuban-Indo relationship is based on historical links of friendship, solidarity, cooperation. So our friendship is, I would say, very pure, crystalline, so has nothing to do with the United States policy regarding Cuba. We are very thankful for the government, for the position of the Indian government, which always has supported the United Nations resolution that demand the lifting of the blockade. And of course, we never will forget the support and the solidarity of the people of India, like Aipso and like all of you who always have demanded the end of the blockade.
I mean, so in this juncture, when there is an economic blockade sponsored by one of the so-called superpowers, what can be the nature of the economic transition between India and Cuba? Economic nature of it.
No, that's why we are paying a lot of attention, we are paying a lot of priority to our economic and trade relationship. We think that there is a big potential in Cuba and in India in order to improve our economic and trade relationship. And increasing our economic and bilateral trade maybe is one of the most important ways in order to bring all the actions coming from the United States in order to blockade the Cuban economy. We would like to have more Indian companies in Cuba, we would like to have more Indian investment in Cuba, and we would like to see the bilateral trade to be even higher. That's why this is a priority for us as an embassy. And I think both governments are working on that direction, the Cuban government and also the Indian government. We think that the biopharmaceutical sector has a lot of opportunities. The health sector, which is linked to this, also has some opportunities. We are working on that. Actually, we have a cooperation mechanism between both ministries of health, and there is a bilateral working group which gather periodically. Very recently, a week ago in Geneva, both ministers of health, they met, the Cuban minister and the Indian health ministers. So of course there is a huge perspective for the collaboration. And for us, for Cuba particularly, it's very important the collaboration that we can receive from India in the natural medicine, in the Ayurveda medicine is very important. There is a Panchakarma center in Havana.
Panchakarma center?
Yes. Yes. We are looking for more cooperation in the Panchakarma center. We are looking for more possibilities for the Cuban doctors to specialize in natural medicine, but particularly in the Ayurvedic medicine. And we need more specialists in yoga also. But the Ayurveda particularly is a very important sector for us, and the only way for us to develop the natural medicine is with India. It's the best way.
আপনি কি বলবেন আপনার কোয়েশ্চেন?
আমি লাস্টে বলবো, আপনি বলুন আগে। গানটা আগে ছিল, সেই গানটা I have two questions. Just an idea. First, about participation in women in workforce. What change has taken place in recent times?
No.
Because
Honestly speaking,
all over the world, the participation of women in workforce is decreasing. And it is decreasing like anything in India, not anywhere before. So it's a very important thing.
in Cuba,
Participation.
always we say that one of the most important, the Cuban Revolution is a big revolution, but inside the Cuban Revolution have been small different revolutions. And one of them is the revolution on the women's, I mean on the ways, on the legislation, in the role of the women in the society. It has changed completely in the last 60 years. Today, we can say that there is not absolutely any difference in the society, in the labor forces, in the working place, between the men and the women. It doesn't exist in Cuba. Even more, there are a lot of facilities, and when I say facilities, there are regulations, laws that benefit the women at the universities, in the working places, when they get pregnant. For example, they can get 1 year of license in order to pay attention for the baby, but also the men have the right to go 1 year for license, and the women can go to work, so the men can stay at home. So, honestly speaking, I think that this is one of the most advanced issues in Cuba, together with the health system and the education.
Right. My specific question is, has the participation in workforce, has it increased, decreased, or remained the same over years, say last 2 decades?
I don't have the statistic, but there is no any reason to decrease, to change. Because all the conditions are created for the women to be exactly with the same conditions and even better conditions like the men. And Cuba has one of the highest rates of women in the government and in the parliament. So,
Anyway, now I have my second question. That is, how the younger people in Cuba is responding to the left ideology? Any comment?
the Cuban Revolution was popular and it's still popular. When I say the Cuban Revolution, the left ideology, of course. We are very conscious that the Cuban Revolution and the socialism has given a lot of benefit to the Cuban people, and including, of course, the young people think the same. So there is a huge support from the population and from the young people to the socialists and of course to the Cuban Revolution, which is or a socialist society. Of course, the socialist is not something static. It's something that is developing all the time, and the practical experience has guided us where to go in the society, in the economy. And of course, the young people are a very important, I would say, a leading forces in guiding where to go for a society, or a socialist society. But I can assure you that the young people, like all the Cubans, we are very aware of the benefit of the socialism.
Now, I have made this comment because Fidel Castro told in one of his interview in the first part of his life that we do not know much about younger people. We must study the younger people to know their approach, reaction, and interaction with the society. So, this is very imperative, I think, for any country, and particularly for...
When the Cuban Revolution triumphed, Fidel was 33 years old. When Che Guevara came to India, I think he was 32 or maybe 31 years old. So we will never can underestimate the real force, the energy, the capacity of the young people. And in my opinion, there shouldn't be a difference between the young people. We all are living in the same society for all humans.
Thank you.
So the singer.
Actually, I am not prepared for this song. And as because this is not our mother language, it's very difficult to connect. Hello, I am Kullanchal Morat.
আপনার নামটা
বলেছেন
पंतना मेरा वही पंतना मेरा पंतना मेरा वही पंतना पंतना मेरा वही पंतना मेरा पंतना मेरा वही पंतना this much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I hope one day I can see you with a big format. Dear comrades, dear friends, I really apologize. I would like to stay and to continue talking. There are many issues and everything with the objective to reinforce our solidarity and the friendship. Once again, thank you. But I have another commitment. Unfortunately, I don't have too much time. I should come back to Kolkata, and when I will come back, of course, for sure, I will dedicate more time for the real friends of Cuba. I will dedicate more time for you. But so far, please, if you happen to be in Delhi, you will be more than welcome. Please visit us. The Cuban coffee will be ready. The Cuban cigar and maybe something stronger also can be ready. But the most important, our friendship will be waiting.
much more stronger.
Yes.
One request, whenever you come to Kolkata next time, please keep some time for rural Bengal.
Okay. For sure.
Sir, this is a booklet. I wrote it in 1990. There's the last two copies in there. So now I have one copy. It's for you.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
আজকে কিউবা সংকট ও সংগ্রাম কিউবা টুডে ক্রাইসিস এন্ড স্ট্রাগল পাবলিশড বাই ন্যাশনাল এজেন্সি ডিসেম্বর 1997 লিখে দিয়ে
Long live India-Cuba friendship.
Long live, long
Long
live,
live India-Cuba friendship.
long live, long live.
By WhatsApp. It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Keep it together. Viva India, viva Cuba, viva Aipso. Aipso, is that correct? Viva, long life.
Long live.
Long live.
Long live India-Cuba friendship.
Sorry. My Hindi is very limited. So long life, Cuba, India, Aipso, and our friends.
Viva Cuba, viva India.
Thank you very much.